So are we even live? Do you even know?
It'll pop up in a second. I got the notifications on, and I'm telling you, every time I do one of these, I'm like, huh? Is it going? What's going on? It's like 3 minutes of an introduction of just me trying to figure out if we're live or not.
I mean, it looks like something might be actually going on.
Yeah, we're live.
3 minutes of an introduction of just me trying. Oh, we're cooking.
We're good.
Cooking. That's it. Let's go. Let's do
Okay,
it.
I'm gonna pull up the comments so these little bitches can say some nasty things.
Seems like we have one viewer, and I think it's me.
Hey, make it two, baby. Make it two. All right. Well, we're doing UFC Denver. I'm abroad. I'm studying abroad. What are you guys up to? Gabe's in his cuck chair with his guitars. You look like you live alone, Gabe.
That's crazy, dude. I do. That's probably why it looks like that.
Did you set this up just for the show, or was it already like this like before? And how many of these shows are you doing? Because we have exclusive rights. So if you're on another show, I need to know.
This is my desk, man. This is where the magic happens right here.
You make sweet love.
Oh.
This is as magical as it gets right here, man. What you guys are seeing.
Tino, what's up with you? You made headlines, not for the Sheik shitting on your chest, but for talking about Kelvin's not shitting enough.
Yeah, Coach, you know what's funny? We were talking about it at the gym, and I'm like, man, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anybody talk about it. And then I pulled
all of
up
a sudden I'm
IG
getting all these updates and
from my
stuff.
explore page
Santino
everywhere.
DeFranco, Kelvin Gastelum's coach, making excuses for his weight. And I'm like, dude, one, don't fucking quote me. I am not the guy to quote. And then two, I was not defending anything. I was just explaining. I was just talking.
Yeah. You know what's funny? That's just from one account. Like we're starting to get a little bit more popular, and so from one account, they're gonna watch every podcast now and just like pick off a little piece of something we say. So we need to drop one thing controversial in every episode, but it's never gonna be at the beginning. We're gonna start doing it in the middle of the show, so we get these playback numbers and get some revenue.
Well, I like what they did with me. They also quoted me with Tracy Cortez because they're like, oh, Tracy Cortez's coach verifies the fight is 3-round co-main event, and it turns out I was wrong. Like, don't quote me. I'll give you guys some wrong ass information. It's a 5-round main event.
She was hilarious. I was driving in the car with her a few days ago, and she goes, well, Santino just texted me and he goes, your fight's 5 rounds, mind blown emoji. I was like, oh shit, it's
literally
fight week.
The last conversation we had before that was me and Eddie up at the edge of the mat talking with her, and she was like, yeah, it was supposed to be, originally it was 5 rounds, but they wanted it to be 3. They're trying to get Jamal Hill for the main event. And I was like, oh, okay, so 3 rounds, co-main, cool. Literally the last I heard from it until I just kept seeing it. And then Tiki, her manager, was like, oh yeah, no, it's 5 rounds. We're like, what? Why? How are we the last to know this?
Yeah, I actually knew that before you because I asked her. I was like, and then she's like, yeah, we actually renegotiated and it's a 5 round now. So there you go.
I didn't get the information about the renegotiation. I'm just a pawn here, guys.
We know.
Oh yeah. But I went out to Diaz Masvidal. We have Bryce Logan on that card. He won.
How was that? That looked like such a fun fight. Did you stay for the main event?
Oh, so I didn't stay for the main event. I left right before that because it was just boring. It was Mosley Jr. and Jacobs, and it was the most boring fight ever. And it was a 10 round.
That was so sad. You
Was
don't want to
so
meet your
bad.
heroes, and you don't want to see them fight 10 years past their prime either.
Yeah. And you want to know what's funny really quickly is Kindle is watching live. She just texts me, yeah, Enzo knew it was 5 rounds.
Wait, you're in the studio and she's there with you in the studio?
No, she's inside.
Oh, but she's watching along.
Yeah,
Okay,
she's
I
watching
see.
it there. So
Who doesn't
Enzo was
watch this
telling me
show?
for like days? He's like, it's 5 rounds. It's 5 rounds. I'm like, it's not 5 rounds. Just shut up. And then finally, like, he looks at Kindle like one day and he's like, he doesn't know it's 5 rounds, but I think it is.
In your defense, Coach, when I was talking to Tracy at the gym, she told me it was 3 rounds too. So
See?
I thought it was 3 rounds.
I'm not the only person.
I didn't
over
even know until recently that it was main event 5 rounds.
Yeah.
She was doing a dollars to pesos conversion, and that's where it got lost in translation.
So anyway, dude, the Masvidal Diaz fight. First of all, like every show not named the UFC, the production sucks. Everything sucks. Like there's no crowd. It's shit. This was the best show I've been to in years. Probably the best show I've ever been to that wasn't a UFC event. There was 18,000 people there. The crowd was amazing. Like the production was phenomenal. Everything ran smoothly. Everything ran on time. It was so much energy. It was so much fun. After Bryce fought, first of all, his opponent got 40 G's just for being a Diaz guy. I mean, it was like, and Bryce did not make 40 G's. Like it was wild. But, you know, so of course he wins, gets the knockout. We leave, bring Enzo, and then we just go front row. The security was so cool. Like UFC security. First of all, UFC doesn't even let us watch the fights. After you fight, even to this day, they grab your bags and they usher you right the fuck out.
Peyton Talbot actually just got on Helwani's show last week and was like talking about that. He's like, dude, what the fuck? I just fought and won, and the security escorted me out. And they're like, we don't know you, bro. And he goes, dude, I just won in like 19 seconds. You're like, what's up?
They won't let us watch the fights unless you have a ticket, but they don't give us tickets. They give you like 2 tickets to give your family, and that's pretty much it. So then we can't watch the fights, and then they ship us out, and then that's that. The security and everybody over here at the Masvidal show, like we were front row, literally the row 1, and they came over and were like, hey, do you guys have tickets? What's up? And we're like, oh, he just fought. And they're like, so you don't have tickets? And we're like, no, he just fought. And they're like, cool, stay here as long as you want. If anybody comes in and they want their seats, just move for them. But like super cool. And we were there till almost a whole night. And we finally moved just a little bit. People came, and we ended up moving to a better spot where it was like right as they were walking out. And so Enzo's high-fiving and shaking hands with Floyd Mayweather, KSI, got pictures with a bunch of people. Dude, the security was so cool. The show was cool. It was phenomenal. I loved it.
There was a funny story about the Diazes. So we have Eric Fimbers fighting this weekend on LFA.
Footlong.
Mr. Footlong. Yeah, he loved when we call him that too. And he was saying that I think one of the Diaz brothers was doing a meet and greet. Now, if you know Eric, like he's a hilarious dude, but in the most subtle way. Hey, bro. Like that's just all he says. Hey, bro. And it's so funny somehow. Yo. And he always wears like his fashion is very basic. It's always like a black t-shirt or a white t-shirt and jeans and then like just casual shoes. And I guess like the Diaz brothers were doing a meet and greet, and that's how all of them dress also. And he's so tall. He's like 6'6", 6'7", something like that. And I guess the security kind of like looked at each other and was like, is he like one of us? He's dressed exactly the same way that we are. And so he always stands with his arms crossed too. And so he just kind of blended in and like met them all and just like chilled with them because he looked like one of them. And I was like, okay, cool.
That sounds about right.
Dude, did Omar tell you about when he was standing in line waiting to meet them? And they start looking at him, and Eric's just standing there and like looking back, and then Nick specifically was like looking at Eric, and then Eric was kind of looking at him. And, you know, like you said, bro, you know how Eric is. He stands there, and bro, he means no harm at all. He's just standing there, just kind of like blank faced. And I guess Nick kept looking over at Eric, like Eric had a problem. And yeah, dude, like I guess it kind of Omar, his brother, thought that it was gonna end up being a thing, and then I guess that they shook hands or never got.
You know what's really funny about the story you just told was the story that I was trying to tell, and I think I just completely made up everything about that story, and your story was actually the correct one because as I'm hearing it, I'm like, wait, I remember this now.
Like, yeah, that sounds more real to me than what I just said.
Eric was standing there, and I guess Nick just kept looking over. And Nick, like looking over, like, dude, what's this dude's problem? Because Eric was just standing there in line, like looking at waiting to get a picture. And Nick thought that Eric wanted beef or something. I don't know. It's so funny though, hearing about it.
You guys watch Eric this weekend at LFA Friday night. Eric, who else we have? Cedric is on the card. Cedric Catalba, and then Casey Tanner.
Love him. Yep, that's gonna be awesome.
Dude, it's a killer squad on Friday, man.
I like it.
All three of them.
And we got equal representation. We got a white, a Mexi, and a black. Everywhere. We're good.
That's
across the board.
Our basis.
Affirmative action, baby.
I love it. We have fights this week.
Finally.
Do you want to get into that? Are we going to get into fights? Or are we just gonna...
I think we should just kind of bullshit. We got some comments on the bumper.
What do we got?
Let's see. Should we take some questions? Producer Gabe, can you check it out and see if there's any questions that we should answer?
Does he even know how to work that?
Is Leon Edwards the GOAT?
No.
That's a bad question, bro. Why are you even answering? Don't give Khalil any attention.
All right, you're done, Gabe. Fired. Who else is at your house? Can you go outside and grab somebody?
I didn't want this role, so.
You're like, I keep trying to quit.
I was trying to find the worst question. Honestly, it's like the only question.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of chat, but we do have 44 people in the comments. I'm waiting for some of the usual suspects. When I was doing my live show by myself, I just kept finding people to just pick on. I'm like, fuck this one guy. This one's interesting. My parents left me and my two other brothers a 300-acre farm in Argentina. They were born in Argentina. I don't know if that has something to do with me or not, but I kind of like that comment. If you got 5 acres for me, my friend, I'm in. Just say no more. Leave it for me, and I will be there. I will move my whole life, and I'll do the podcast right from your family's farm.
Let's talk fights. I'm bored. It's late. We have shit to do. There's a bunch of these fights got canceled and moved around, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing on a few of these. But what do we got?
All right. Shout out to Fight Chalk. We're getting all of our odds from fightchalk.com. Fight number 1, we have Andre Petroski versus Joshua Fremd.
Give me your thoughts on this first, Brandon, because I have some thoughts on this. I know you know Fremd well. You know Petroski well. Where are you going?
So, man, well, first of all, last week was a horrible week for me. I think I lost when I calculated it all up between these stupid japs and the overnight boxing and the Foster robbery in boxing was horrible. I lost like 30 grand. So I shouldn't be throwing around cash as easily as I have been. And somehow I have a $2,000 bet on Fremd. And like, it's cool when you're just like, whatever, I'll make it back, no problem. But when now you're like, fuck, I'm in hustle mode, I need to start building again. A $2,000 on Fremd is not what you want to be doing. But I do have a $2,000 bet on Fremd. Here's why. I think that Petroski is way better than Fremd, almost every area. Maybe his striking is not as good. It's not as crisp. Like Fremd is one of those guys that like really tries to look the part and kind of does look the part, but not as effective as Petroski, who just kind of swings meat hooks. But hey, they land and they're effective. I think the altitude is going to be a big factor here. And then the weirdness of the last fight with Petroski, just overall kind of looking weird and, getting knocked out in 10 seconds from Pereira and just a lot of weird stuff. It's very different than the beginning of his UFC run. You have to wonder where his head's at with all this. Fremd, if anything, he's not great, but he is the little engine that could. He's going to jab and low kick to death, and he's going to wrestle hard and wrestle up. I think Big Bird had tipped Petroski sub, which I think is probably Petroski's main way to win. I like that play. I could see him taking Fremd down and submitting him easy. But the deeper that this fight goes, I mean, I would put Fremd above the Chinese dude. What was his name? Yu Haozong. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I had multiple thousands of dollars on Yu Haozong. I don't know if that's up on my worst bets of all time because it was kind of a weird fight, but it's up there. But I do have $2,000 on Fremd. I just think the altitude, the pace, the rhythm, the momentum, I think a lot of those things are going to be on Fremd's side. I'm not like loving it. It's not my favorite spot of all time. I acknowledge that Petroski is a better fighter, but it's a course of 15 minutes. So that's why I'm going Fremd.
I thought we were going to be on the opposite sides of this because I don't think said a nice thing about Fremd. And I'm with you. I think Petroski's striking looks so bad against Malkoun, and he looks so uncomfortable, and he didn't really know what to do. And then he wasn't even shooting until he was actually already hurt. I do think that Fremd is going to come out Petroski. I think he's going to come out way different in this fight than he did in the last fight. And you said it, altitude. I think that altitude is going to be a big issue with a lot of fights on this card. But I think Petroski should know that and go, I got to get out of here in 3.5 minutes. And if he does that, he could absolutely take Fremd down and jump on a guillotine, jump on a Darce 100%. But Fremd didn't get submitted by Hernandez, Fluffy. And that Hernandez is on you and will not die and has good jiu-jitsu and has good submissions and has good pressure and really has good cardio. And, Petroski, he's got to do it in the first couple of minutes or he's not going to do it. And Fremd will throw. He throws that calf kick. He'll throw the straight punches. And he's tall. He's 6'4". It's going to be hard for Petroski to find his way in. So, yeah, I'm with you. If you guys hate that, then do like Petroski round 1.
Or finish only.
Yep, or finish only. Exactly.
But I could see him getting finished late, too.
Yeah,
I issue.
could see Petroski death gassing and then getting like TKO'd or something like that. So I'd go Petroski round 1. And then if 4 minutes goes by, then like hedge it, throw it on Fremd, whatever. But I think Fremd is as safe of a bet as I would ever say that Fremd could be.
Hey, really quick, my little brother's in the chat. What's up, Alex? Give a little shout out to you. That's cool. That's why we like to do the lives.
Hey, what up, Alex? My son is watching and said, just quoted you. He's like, the little engine that could, LOL.
Well, my son is just in the square right below me. No, I'm sorry. On the YouTube, it's 2 squares over.
All right, cool. Let's move on to the next.
Okay. Shit. Hey, we'll warm up, guys. We're getting into it. We're gonna warm up.
We get there.
All right. With that said, Montel Jackson -162 against Damon Blackshear at +136.
Some black on black violence. My favorite.
The crime is real. I like Montel. I like Damon Blackshear. Damon. He does a lot really well. His striking's not amazing, but it's very serviceable. He does stuff well, and he finds his way into the clinch, and he finds his way on top, and he is a good grappler, and he checks all of the boxes. You know what I mean? I think him taking that fight against Bautista was a bad idea because he had just fought 6 days later, 7 days later, takes another fight. I think you need some recovery in it. And he had good moments in there, but Bautista's a tough handle. But man, Montel is good. His striking is good. His defensive wrestling is good. He is wiggly, but he just has that it factor too, where he's going out there trying to stop people. And he hits hard, and I like him here to do a lot.
Okay, interesting. I forget that Kamu's not talking. He's just here for the good looks.
Yeah, he's just producing. He's just here.
Whose fucking phone is that?
We talked about this before the show too. I'm like, man, you guys want me on camera? I'm gonna be sitting here recording everything, putting stuff on my phone. You're like, yeah, no, be on camera.
Hey, but how many times have you taken my spot and everyone's like, man, that guy is so much better looking and way more hung and everything, like well endowed. Like I'm like, damn. Fuck, what fight are we on? Okay, I think I like Damon here. Here's why. I like Montel. I think Montel's sick. I love his hands. I love his pressure, his boxing. The dude's solid, man. He really is really, really good. But you have to question his motivation. He's fought like a total of 1 minute and 30 seconds in the last like 2-3 years, something like that. You know, he's running the streets of Milwaukee. Dude's a real life gangster. I love Montel. He's really good. His hands are clean. But a couple times he looks gun shy to me. He's kind of on the back foot. And when he does throw and puts the pressure, he puts combos together and looks great. But a lot of times he spends time like looking weird and gun shy and kind of almost not wanting to be in there. A win over 2023 Ronnie Yaya is not insane to me. And I like Damon. First of all, we could easily make a cool thing like, can I hit it in Damon? And like, that's pretty, I was thinking about that. I forgot to say it. But I think the grappling upsides with Damon, his back takes, his jiu-jitsu, everything is really, really clean. And I just don't think he's that outmatched on the feet. I think he's going to push the pace. I think he's going to be in Montel's face. And I think this is going to go to decision. I think Montel is good enough to not get finished or anything like that. I don't really worry about his defensive grappling. But I give grappling upside to Damon on back takes and pure jiu-jitsu. It's hard to fault him for a fight against Mario Bautista, and especially getting gassed against Mario Bautista. Mario Bautista is the EPO poster child. The dude pushes the craziest pace you've ever seen. So I think I just like Damon on like being able to hang on the feet, get takedowns if he needs them, back takes, weird shit, making it just weird and complex. And at a plus number, I don't think you can go wrong there. It's a good dog.
All right, cool. So next we have Luana Santos at -360 versus Mariah Agapova at +260.
You got a lot of work to do because I did not take these women's fights.
Well, this fight, oh my God, I'm getting some heat for this one.
Why?
Well, because, you know, I went through a phase where I was into Brazilian women and I followed Luana, you know, a long time ago. That phase is past me, no more. But I just got frustrated with her. It took me a lot to unfollow her, but I just would see her post stories every day. She's just fat as shit walking around the UFC PI. Nobody like taps on the shoulder and is like, hey, you fatty, shouldn't be in our organization like this. And we're not like critical of fighters on the show, but it's like the arrogance to be like posting your ass and like doing all this stuff when you just got a fucking spare tire around your belly and you're in the UFC. It just makes me mad. Now I feel bad because I just found out today. I haven't followed her a long time ago. I found out today she's got Hashimoto's disease.
What does that mean?
I think it's a thyroid issue. So it makes you gain weight because she actually fought her last fight at 135 and then missed weight by 4 pounds. And she fought your favorite girl on the planet, Stephanie Egger. She fought your Kindle, close your ears because I know some Stephanie Egger love would be coming. She's tall, she's blonde, fits the description. And she fought her and she looked horrible. It was like such a sloppy, slow fight. And she just looked fat. Now, if you fast forward to her Instagram, she like lost a bunch of weight. She was like talking about how she was depressed and lazy and all this stuff, and she lost the weight. So I don't know what the blend is between the Hashimoto's disease and the just being undisciplined, but she's fighting this fight at 125. Actually rewatching the fight, her striking's better than I thought. I think the narrative in this fight, everyone is going to go, well, Agapova's so much better of a striker, and what happens if Luana can't get takedowns? And I actually don't think it's a one-way fight on the feet. I think that Luana has got a good jab. She works the body. She's mobile. She's active. Now that she's lost weight, she's going to look more like she did in her LFA days, which I thought she actually looked pretty decent. And then she's got the judo and she's got the jiu-jitsu edge over Agapova. I don't know if you guys have done too much. Oh, shit. Someone said I'm a little too loud. I'm going to turn my mic down just a little bit. I don't know if you guys are kind of up to date on the Agapova saga. Are you guys?
No, but there's always a lot of Agapova saga, and I want to hear it.
So this one's even more because we've already gone through the ones where she was, beefing with Marina Moroz at ATT. She was doing the drugs. She was leaving the gym. She's doing artwork and tattoos. But the last one is, so she just competed in karate combat. She just got heel hooked in 16 seconds by a 16-year-old. Why sounds she took right. That? Yeah, sounds about right. She's homeless. And she said part of the struggle of her being homeless is that men keep trying to offer her rooms to sell her into sex slavery.
How does this happen?
Well, it happens. I just had a whole relationship based on that. Well, wait. Not quite. Wait. Don't let that get cut out of context. But, man, it's hard to know where she's at. I think she cracks. You love you some Agapova. You do love you some Agapova. I
did. Like, I was smart on her a couple of times. And, I mean,
she beat the shit out of Sabina Mazo.
She's lost some luster. Like, she's looked bad her last couple fights.
I actually didn't think she looked that bad. So she fought Jillian Robertson last. And this is one I did tape. Her takedown defense actually was like, decently impressive against Jillian, who's just a dog on a bone and will keep cutting angles and will keep hitting single legs. She won the first round. She elbowed the shit out of her, defended a lot of takedowns. And then I look at this matchup and Luana can't wrestle. She's a judo girl, right? So if you're running forward and she'll judo toss you, but she's not really a good wrestler. She can't really effectively get you to the ground. Now she's losing all this weight. So who knows what her cardio is going to look like. And at altitude, man, the line is steamed from Luana minus like 235. She's like minus 400 right now. Hey, Mr. Fight Chuck, do we have the odds?
Yes, we do. Luana's minus 360 and Agapova's plus 260.
So you just want to be smart. Here's what it is. Luana's probably going to win. She probably just will win. Like, she's got good enough striking, and the UFC would rather her win than Agapova, who's on a losing streak and is homeless, speaking out against fighter pay. Like, there's no reason for the UFC to reward her or want her to win. Sex slavery is not a good look for an active UFC fighter. So realistically, Luana's probably going to win. But if you're playing Luana at minus 360, that is a grave mistake, especially because I do probably give the edge to Agapova standing. I don't think that Luana's got good grappling, but as usual, Agapova's problem is that she always goes way crazy and gasses herself out. And now she's fighting at altitude. If this fight was at the Apex or if it was anywhere else on earth, I would probably hit an Agapova play pretty decently. But because this is at altitude, I really think you got to just wait and live bet this. You'll probably get a good price on Luana after one round. And then she's probably going to eke this out with some annoying split decision where her fat ass sticks on the cage. So there you go, guys. That's in depth. That's all I got on that fight. I actually taped this one a decent amount. I like Agapova, but Luana's not as bad as people make it seem.
All right.
Cool. Coach, you're good?
Yeah. I don't know women's MMA.
I don't want to take heat for calling her fat, but just to walk around that and sell OnlyFans content being fat as hell just pissed me off.
Brandon's tired of losing all his money on our OnlyFans and not getting what he paid for. All right, next we got Jasudavicius versus Fatima Kline. Jasmine's plus 110 and Kline is minus 130.
Hey, so you guys know I didn't tape this, but we know Jasmine, all right? And Jasmine is legitimately good. She's tough. She's marches you down. Tracy Cortez fought her. She got some takedowns on Tracy. You know, this is just a tough girl. I'm looking at Fatima here, and she has never fought anybody. Like, I mean, she's fighting 1-0. Like, I mean, 2-0
She's
type of girl.
big grappling credentials. Big grappling credentials.
So I just, especially going against, it'd be one thing if she's going against girls who don't know how to grapple, but Jasmine knows how to wrestle, and she's not amazing, but she was on, you know, they say, oh, she was on the Canadian wrestling team, and she's whatever. That's not amazing, but that girl can cage grapple, and can Fatima, you know, get her down and hold her there and then beat her up without, I mean, Jasmine's just going to walk her down and punch. You know, I don't know this girl Kline at all. Maybe I'm crazy here, but it seems like a massive step up considering.
You are 100% right. So I'll just speak on this. So I have about 3,000 on Jasudavicius. Again, after losing 30K, it's not exactly where I wanted to be, but here I am. This is actually the way that I look at this. So we have some relevant things on this fight card. So a couple names come to mind. C.Rod, when he came into the UFC and fought JSP at 145, wasn't the right weight class for him, and then goes back to 35 and starts winning a bunch of fights. Tabitha gets to the UFC, fights Manon, gets her ass beat, goes back to 115, wins a bunch of fights. There's a lot of these things, right, where people take a short notice fight, up a weight class, they take their lumps, they go back down to their weight class, and they win everything. I really think Fatima is excellent. So if you don't know Fatima, her hands, she's Aaron Blanchfield's main training partner and main bedroom partner. And she has gotten really good. So she kind of came onto the scene as a pure jiu-jitsu girl, but she's learned how to wrestle. Her hands are developing. Her head movement's great. She really is like one of the top prospects in the sport. However, this is kind of the way that I look at it. She's never fought a girl taller than 5'3" in her career. And, you know, I would say the Nikita Kulakalashikaka lady is probably the best girl that she's fought. And we only say that because she beat Gigi Canuto, but Gigi Canuto is like 15 years old and she does not in her woman body yet. And she needs a lot of work still. Right. So she just out judoed her and out muscled her. She beat Sydney Trillo, who was early in her career. She's fighting girls that are very, very green in the sport and they're okay at what they do, but she's just a little bit better. My issue with Fatima is she is a submission girl. Listen, you give me 15 minutes on almost anybody's back in the world, I'm going to finish them. It just 15 minutes of trying, I'm going to get it. She's got 15 minutes of top control and back control on all these girls, and she's not finishing them. She's taking all of them to decisions. Even that little fat girl on like 3 days notice, she ended up TKOing her in the third round. She should have had that girl out of there within the first 3 minutes of the fight. Now on short notice at elevation against a girl who is a grappler, and although her technique is not as clean on the feet, again, it's effective versus clean, right? It's kind of like Fremd and Petroski. Jasmine kind of throws like a baseball, but she's mean and nasty, and she is cock strong woman. She's big. She like, I was around her one time, and she just kind of like looked me up and down like I was a tiny man, and I'm the same height as her.
Wait. She looked you up and down like you were a tiny man?
I'm speaking in metaphors, man. What are you trying to say?
So she looked you up and down.
All right. Yeah. So I just think, honestly, I think Fatima is going to go really, really far in the sport. She's amazing. I love watching Fatima fight. I will play her minus 500 in every regional fight she's ever had in her entire life, knowing my money's in good hands. But I think in this matchup, Jasmine's a little bit meaner. She's been preparing for this like a maniac. She can grapple. She's got good body lock takedowns. If Fatima's not submitting these other girls, I don't think she's submitting Jasmine. And Jasmine's kind of coming into her own. She's got a lot of momentum. I get she's older too, but give me some.
Yeah, but you also have UFC debut jitters in a live crowd at elevation. Like, that's not going to fare well for her cardio after 5 minutes.
So many factors going into this. Yeah, I agree. So give me some Kid Vicious. It's so funny. She captions everything with Stay Vicious because of her last name. It's so
Love
funny.
it.
All right, next we got Joshua Van at minus 205 versus Charles Johnson at plus 170.
Those odds are crazy to me. Both of these guys are, I mean, this is just a close fight to me. So seeing those odds, that spread in Joshua Van just seems a little much. I like Van. I mean, Van's boxing on the inside is great. His cardio is great. His pressure is great. They love some Van right now. I love some Van right now.
He's awesome.
And, you know, Charles he's so much better than his record shows. But everything is win and loss, close split decision. And it really is all predicated on him losing round 1, other person getting more tired, and then him coming on at the end of round 2 and then stealing round 3 as everyone's death gassed. The thing that Charles does is he's so reactionary. He just waits and he backs up and he tries to find this stuff and he lets the fight come to him, and then he defends the takedowns and then he gets back up to his feet, but he's not out there like trying to kill. And I think the best thing about him is how composed he is, how good his cardio is, and then how well he defends and gets back up to his feet and defends the grappling. But he doesn't start beating people up until they're tired. Whereas Joshua Van, I don't think is going to get tired. We've never seen anything that would lead us to believe he's going to be tired. Charles Johnson is taller. He's going to throw knees up the middle. He's going to throw a lot of, teep stuff up the middle as well. But I think for Charles to win, I think Van really needs to fade. And I think the volume and the pressure of Van, and it's kind of funny because both these guys aren't great first round fighters. They
both lose the first round every fight.
Yeah, they both lose the first round. The difference, though, is Joshua Van loses the first round marching forward, whereas Charles Johnson loses the first round going backwards. And I just think Van going forward and pressing and swinging and I don't think Van's going to wrestle a lot. And most of Johnson's opponents have tried to wrestle him quite a bit. I don't know that Van's even going to attempt it. If anything, I think I could see Charles Johnson getting hurt, wobbled, and then try to go for a takedown on Van. Whether he gets it or not, I see Van trying to get back up to his feet and kind of go on that route. But I think this could be a very close fight where it's like, maybe Johnson's just kind of holding him or teeping him and voluming him a bit. And then Van lands some really good punches that are very solid. And then you're like, the volume, the this, the that. I like Van for the win. Minus 200 on him here in a spot against a guy that could get a split decision loss against Khabib and a split decision win against a sandwich. Like, you just don't know how this guy's going to fight. And he manages to make so many fights so close and just doesn't let people blow him out of the water. I do think I think Van's going to win. I think he goes all 3 rounds. I think it's a close decision. But I lean Van for the win out of volume and bigger shots.
I am with you 10,000%. And exactly the same thing. And I tweeted this earlier today. I said there's a few good dogs on the card. I think Blackshear is probably one of the better underdogs on the card, just style-wise, momentum-wise. But this is going to be a really annoyingly square card where you're going to have every fight, you're going to be like, well, that was a value loser. Man, that was such a close fight. I had a really good number on him, and he made it really close. I would make that bet again, but they're going to lose. I feel like that on probably 3 or 4 fights here. Like the Luana fight. That number is insane. And if you're talking about value, you have to play Agapova. You just have to. That's it. But at the end of the day, Luana's probably going to win. And this fight's the same way. I'm with you. Van is tiny man, very tiny man. And Charles is very tall man. And it's going to be hard for Van to get in. But once he does, his punches are a lot more eye-catching. Charles, one jab and one front kick and then run away is a lot less cool than Van putting 3 or 4 punches to the body and Bisping going fucking nuts in the corner. It's just so different. It's very different. And, we talk about that all the time, moving forward versus moving back on the back foot. What strikes are scored heavier, right? A liver shot and body punches on a 3-piece combo scored a lot more than a teep kick. I'm sorry, that's the way of the world, even if they affect you the same way. So I think Van's going to win. I love his forward pressure. But there's one caveat I have to this. You said you kind of think that Charles could grapple when he gets hurt. Now, I've been around Charles on, I think, 2 fight weeks and then one time just in the crowd. And this dude, he will never shut up about wanting to get a submission. He will never shut the fuck up about wanting to get a submission. And not that I think he's going to submit Van. I think Van's like, man, that kid's the truth. I think he's very, very good. I don't think he's going to get submitted, but I think Charles is also a very smart guy. I think he's going to see what Felipe did by taking him down and holding him down. And I think that Charles may or may not have, I think he thinks that he has the cardio to do this game plan. And the thing with Van, much like another fighter we're going to see like C.Rod on the card, they're eerily similar. Just so calm. Okay, let's go. And he's not going to get tired. And exactly what you said. Charles' wins are all based on guys getting tired. I like Van to win here. Pressure, just calmness, big shots, big everything. But again, I'm with you. I think it's a very close fight. Value loser, but Van wins.
Okay.
Sweet. All right, next we have Cody Brundage at plus 130 versus Abdul Razak Alhassan at minus 155.
Dude, this is like I don't even, what is this fight? These are two guys that just go full send and are the least reliable humans on the planet 1,000 different ways. Give me your thoughts on this fight first. I've got a few, but.
So hold on, before we jump into this fight, I just wanted to laugh because one, our producer is a bit autistic. So I asked for a question at the beginning of the show, and he goes,
I saw that.
I know. He goes, is Leon Edwards the GOAT? And that dude commented, and because all the guy said was,
he was talking about my name.
Yeah, he was like, huge fan of your content. And then Kamuela goes, is Leon Edwards the GOAT? And I just shit on the question. The dude goes, that's my username. I just like your channel.
Oh,
good
man.
times.
It was the first comment that I had seen with a question mark. So, dude, I just read it.
All right,
funny.
Everybody change your username to something funny, and we'll shout you out on the show. Okay, so let's talk about this one. This fight is just hilarious. So, again, I had put that tweet out, and I like tweeting stuff about fights sometimes. You know, I used to always tweet about fights. Now I just tweet about random shit, just trolling and stuff. But I get a lot of good feedback. And when I do, so one person was like, I think that Brundage is actually a good dog this week. And here was my response. I understand how you see that, but I would never bet on Brundage against anybody, even a flyweight or a woman, because I do understand how he could win this fight. And I think not enough is being made of Razak at altitude. And before everyone shits on me, I know he trains at altitude. I get it. It has nothing to do with his environment. It's based on how he fights. The dude goes balls out. And in the past, it's the reason I tried to fade him against Alessio De Chirico and lost 70 grand. It's because he gasses out. That's how he does it. He goes batshit crazy. Now, in his older years, weirdly, he's calmed down. He knows how to pace a fight. He's actually winning third rounds, like against Buckley, which is insane. Dude, I like Razak. Like, he's leveled up so much in such a quick time since he's been at elevation. His grappling is really good. Of course, he hits hard. Brundage always finds a way out. Brundage lost the last fight. I don't know how he still got another fight. I like Cody Brundage. Cody thinks I hate him. I don't hate Cody Brundage. I just think he's a weenie sometimes. And he's got some skills. He looks the part. He can kind of do some things here or there, but eventually he will always find a way out. And if you look at like Razak's fight with Joaquin Buckley, now, if I asked you guys who wins a Buckley and Brundage fight, what would be your answer?
Yeah, you wouldn't even question Buckley.
Wouldn't even question
10
it.
out of 10.
And Razak's beating the shit out of Buckley in round 3 and making that a really competitive fight. So for me, it's Razak. I just think he's on a higher level than Brundage. I think he's got more momentum. He just knocked the shit out of Claudio Ribeiro. He even had some moments where he buzzed Pfeiffer. Like, the dude can crack. Dude can grapple. A rape charge sometimes pushes guys to new levels. Look at Kobe.
To new limits. I'm glad you say that, because I know that you aren't big on Brundage and his skills, but I know you're very low on Razak and his skills.
Not anymore. I like Razak. He's growing on me.
He stopped being so stupid and stopped going balls out. But that kind of is
the greatest fights of all time was Razak and Homasi, both parts. Just lay their dicks on the table, and I think Homasi was like, he goes, that was a fluke, the first one, and then just came out and did the exact
2 fights later happens again.
Awesome.
Dude, Razak is good. His wrestling has gotten so much better. He does a good job. Like, he knows he's got to throw in spurts, and then he just stares and stares and stares. and then he throws and stares and stares. I mean, even against Pfeiffer, he got up once or twice, before he ended up getting taken down and submitted. And Brundage is kind of the Petroski Fremd fight. This is kind of that fight all over again. Like, look, Brundage can go out there and fake a shot overhand or get a takedown early as Razak is coming up. He jumps Gilly. We're done. But again, if it doesn't happen in the first 3 minutes, you don't even have to worry about what Razak is going to do. Brundage will just quit. He'll just find his way out. Like, he'll just shoot, pull guard, and take the beating that he wants. So it's definitely risky. Anything with either of these guys is risky. And then Razak is 38 at this point. How good is his chin? It looked
Has
fine
anybody checked his papers though?
Yeah, he could be 54.
Or he could be 14. We don't really know.
Yeah, we don't really know. And I think you're right. I think you cannot bet on Brundage because it's Brundage. You cannot do that. So bet fight doesn't go the distance. It's probably minus 2 billion at this point. But because I can't fathom, Brundage will find a way out if it goes after a round. And then Razak will find his way on top, or he'll just start piecing him up. So yeah, you got to go Razak.
It's just a shitty fight, like in Denver, because Razak is known as a gasser, and he does gas, and he somehow finds his second win. So like, it's weird. Like in my mind, in a vacuum, I would be like, man, if this fight goes long, I actually favor Cody. He's going to keep wrestling and keep working hard and wear on Razak. But then I'm like, dude, Razak fights hard as shit. He's trying not to go back.
Yeah. If these guys were fighting or sparring, I would bet everything on Cody Brundage every day of the week. Like,
hey, did you see this comment?
Better fighter. Probably takes him down, submits him every single round. But you put him in a fight, and now all of a sudden he, just finds a way out.
I love this comment. This is such a funny one. It says, weird that Santino is a good-looking dude from the side, but not from the front.
Yeah, I've got to go.
He's going to just sit sideways in his breakdowns.
You didn't know how crooked my nose was. The lighting's actually really bad over where I'm at too. So, but I'm I'm also not a very attractive man either. So I'm just saying that the lighting is bad, especially from, my nose is pretty sideways, and I'm an unattractive human. So that's where I'm at.
Brandon,
what do we got next?
Supposed to tell Coach that he is a very attractive man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would do you.
That means a lot. Coming from Gabe, it would mean a lot. Coming from you,
I was going to say, because Brandon doesn't say that about people often.
Yeah, I actually have been getting in some trouble lately. I was actually with C.Rod and his girlfriend in Sedona, and they look at me and they go, "Dude, we've been here with you for 2 days, and you've talked about way more guys than you have women. Are you gay, actually?" And I was like, "I don't know. I can recognize a handsome man."
All right. Speaking of C.Rod, we got him next. Christian
Rodriguez. Come on. I'm turning my mic off, man. I'm out of here.
Man, this is a comical fight to me. Like, dude, what are the odds on this?
Wait, me and C.Rod or C.Rod and Erosa?
All.
Dude, I'm so bummed you're leaving tomorrow, man. I was hoping you guys would see each other, dude.
I want you to rekindle the C.Rod flame.
I would just look at him and be like, "What's up, dude?" And he would just start crying, be like, "My dad." I'd be like, "I'm not your dad. I'm your brother." And it would be all good.
Yeah, dude, I'm bummed that we're not gonna get that moment. You should just push your flight back, man.
Hey, I know it's easy on Southwest. I'll just share this one thing just because it is. So you cracked up at this, and actually, Coach, you were laughing at this too. So I just bought those Oakleys. I think they're over here. Oh, yeah, I got to put them on maybe. I bought the Oakleys. I've been loving these things.
Snap.
Yeah, these are great, and they make everything look like really vibrant. And the reason I bought them was C.Rod runs in them. When he does his like 13-mile runs, he throws these bad boys on. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna be like C.Rod. And so I posted on my story. I said, somebody tell C.Rod I'm sorry, or I want to be friends again. And I just put it like little on the glasses. I had like 5 people go like, "No problem. I'm going to send him the story." And all he would do is thumbs down the comment and then leave it on red to be friends again. We like to have fun here.
All
right,
yeah.
Back to the breakdown.
It breaks my heart, man. You guys were tight, dude. I'm bummed. All right. C.Rod is minus 205. Erosa is plus 170.
Man, C.Rod should be minus 405.
Is that an area code or something? Why'd you choose that number?
I don't know.
Is that like the Milwaukee area code?
Could be. probably not, but maybe it is. I don't really know area codes. But dude, Erosa is so loopy with his punches. His chin comes up. He's so off balance. Everything comes from the side. And C.Rod is legitimately good everywhere. Like, his wrestling is good, offensive and defensive. He has good jiu-jitsu. His striking is good. He draws people in. He hits hard as shit. He has great cardio. Like, how does Erosa win this fight? Like, I don't even know. I mean, C.Rod has a massive head. He doesn't get rocked. This is a C.Rod layup spot in my book.
Yeah, they kind of gave him one on this one. Yeah, like they gave him the guy with the worst chin. The issue is, the only issue that I have with this fight is it's such a different style. You had talked about Charles Johnson, and he just fends takedowns until guys get tired, and then he puts it on. This isn't going to be that same fight for C.Rod. C.Rod usually just stays calm, remains in the pocket. I rewatched the Bulgarian fight today. What a fun fight to watch. I actually think C.Rod won that fight. I don't really even think there's that much controversy.
Yeah,
like, you watch that. Yeah, Bulgarian held on to him for dear life round 2, and then C.Rod kneed him, kind of beat his ass. Like, everyone was mad they lost money, but he won that fight. And then the kicking him on the ground was hilarious. I think I agree with you. Like they're rewarding him for taking these fights and beating these prospects. Like, it was like hey, we hate you at first. We're going to try to kill you via prospect. And now that he's beaten them all, they're like, all right, now you're our guy. My only issue is the height difference. It's just such a big size difference. I still stick to this, that C.Rod should not be a 45er. He knows that. We know that. We all know that. He was a little undisciplined and some issues with his weight cut. He should be a 135er. After this fight, I imagine he's going to go back down. At least that's what the UFC told him, is 2 fights at 45. He can move back. It's just a different fight. It's just a striking fight. Erosa's got a good jab. He is pretty clean. The only thing I worry is that C.Rod gets out-volumed and can't touch the chin of Erosa. Like, C.Rod is just so little, and his little T-Rex arm swinging at Erosa, as calm and as good of a striker as C.Rod is. But I just have to have faith over time. C.Rod knows how to break guys down. His leg kicks are great. Watch the Charlampos fight. It's my favorite C.Rod fight ever. Just how calm and in the pocket he breaks him down. Yeah, I have to have faith that at some point over these 15 minutes, he's going to crack him. He's going to work the body. He's going to break those legs down, and Erosa's going to get out of there. And it's not like Erosa's had amazing cardio either. He looked horrible against Steven Peterson, swinging from his hip, gassed out, trying to finish that fight. So,
I don't think C.Rod's got to worry about volume so much, or worried about doing that, because Erosa's not going to allow it. Erosa's going to be there throwing, and C.Rod will counter. If Erosa was going to like sit back and jab and Charles Johnson it, okay, maybe we worry. But dude, Erosa's just in your face going. Like, once he starts going, he can't really stop himself. He's going to throw 4 punches. He plans on throwing a jab, and next thing you know, there's 62 button mashes going on.
He gets in it. Yeah, he feels the pace of the fight real quick. All right, yeah, let's go. Everything we got on C.Rod, I think.
All right.
Cool. All right, next, Gabriel Bonfim minus 340 versus Loosa plus 270.
Do you want to go? You want me to go?
Okay, I'll go on this one. So again, this is a fight where I think the odds are just so stupid, but it's gonna win. Like, unfortunately. So I bet Loosa at plus 350. I only hit it for like $500, I think. I think that was the limit at the time. And I remember when the odds came out, I told everybody, I was like, are you kidding me? This is insane. The number is crazy. I like Loosa a lot. I like him a lot more than the next guy. I think the dude really has skills. I think he's at a good camp. I think he's probably one of the toughest goes in the gym. I bet if you asked everybody, they're like, Loosa is the guy, man. He's tough. Unfortunately, he gets cracked a lot. His chin gets hurt a lot. And he kind of got overwhelmed by battle with that pressure. And I don't think that Loosa will give Bonfim the kind of fight that Dalby did. You look at Dalby. Dalby was kind of there to be hit, but then he would move away, and then he would fire back, and then move away, and he would defend things and get up. And he just had such a, Dalby did Dalby things. I thought Dalby beat Renat. Dalby's freaking good, man. It's only taken me him beating 5 prospects in a row for me to be like, all right, let's give Dalby his flowers. He's not losing. Dude is good. I like Loosa, and I like Loosa obviously as the fight goes, but maybe Loosa gas is just as bad as Bonfim here. And Bonfim's, man, that dude's a power puncher. I think he's got a better chin, and as long as he doesn't give up or gas out, I think he's going to win. Unfortunately, like I said, I think the value in a vacuum and on a different card is probably with Loosa. But I think Bonfim's going to win.
Yeah, I think I think the crazy number is one. I'm actually surprised it's not crazier because of Bonfim death gassing the last time and losing by Dalby, and then this being at altitude. So I'm actually shocked that the number didn't shrink down from those two factors.
Me too. That's what I'm saying. Like the number is disgusting.
Yeah, because
as is.
Those factors are actually real. Because Bonfim we still look. I think it was more adrenaline than cardio that forced him to gas. But we don't really know because we haven't seen him fight since, and we certainly haven't seen him fight in altitude, and we haven't seen him pushed and look good. We just saw what we saw. Whereas the Loosa, he'll go. I mean, he went with Jack Dela and
great fight.
Yep, good fight.
It was competitive.
I mean, Bonfim is better everywhere. Like sharp punches right down the middle. He actually has a good blast double. Great jiu-jitsu passing. I mean, the dude is good. He's that good. But those weird factors, how is he going to perform at, and if nothing else, Loosa is durable. Like that's not a guy, I don't think he's been finished. Has Loosa been finished at all? He's 10-3. The Brian Battle fight, like that looked bad. But decision. No, so he's got 3 decision losses. And look, Battle made him look bad. Battle also has good cardio and we know that. So look, I think you're right. I think Bonfim is not going to gas himself out. I think he understands and Bonfim has been up at elevation. He's actually up there now. It doesn't look, I couldn't find if Loosa was up there or not, but I think Bonfim is taking it seriously. He understands he's got to pace himself a little bit. I could see this actually being, do you remember, gosh, was it Carlos Ulberg who death gassed against Kennedy and Chukwu?
Yeah.
And then do you remember when he came back afterwards and had the most boring win of his life?
He fought the dude who'd be tweeting about sex all the time, Fabio Charant.
Yes. I could see that being this fight. I could see Bonfim not wanting to gas and just touch and move and making it a really boring fight. If Loosa goes crazy at him and goes, I mean, I could absolutely see Bonfim hurting him and doing stuff, but it wouldn't shock me to see a really boring fight from Bonfim. Like you said, I think Loosa is going to look like a very value loser.
Yeah. You know what? I think there was one factor I didn't play into. So when that Brazil card, I remember that like it was yesterday because I remember we were in Tucson at the fights for the amateur fights.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the Brazil card and all the Brazilians were cruising. Everybody won. It was so easy. And then you get to him and he was like the biggest favorite on the card against Dalby. And I just remember like him crumbling. And the factor, here's how I thought it would go down. Brazilians fighting in Brazil put their dicks on the table and everybody's getting knockouts. And I don't even think that's how it ended up going. It was like a lot of decisions and like weird shit. Bonfim was the only one that like tried to put his dick on the table and then just like that dick got smashed. And he just went too hard, too fast, trying to put on for his country. And I think you're right. Like this time he's going to come out a lot more reserved. But I think when the opportunity is there, he can take it. You know, I like to fade someone that's in the chat right now, Big Steve. Pretty much anything that he plays, I do the opposite because his reads are always chalk city and bad. So over 1.5 is the play here.
All right,
cool. Next, Drew Dober at -108 versus Jean Silva with a quick return at -112.
Man, I think quick returns are horrible, especially in the UFC. You ride that momentum and everyone's high on it, and you don't realize that 2 weight cuts and the adrenaline, and man, you need to build and you need to go. And I mean, look, Gene Silva looked really good against Charles Jourdain. I mean, that was good. He looked solid. But now he's fighting Drew Dober, who cardio we know is not going to be an issue. We don't know if that's going to be the case with Gene Silva at altitude. It's not like he came here early to acclimate. So that's question number 1. Then Dober's going to have size on him too. And I mean, Dober's ready to throw and go. I mean, he's made some bad decisions in the past. So trying to take down Beneil Dariush after beating him up for a round. We saw with Moicano, he could not get up off of his back. Like he couldn't do it. And then every time he did, he basically murdered him, and then he would get taken down for his efforts. Gene Silva's wrestling's not amazing. We've seen him pre-contender fighting very average guys not able to get offensive takedowns. So I do not think Silva's going to be able to take him down. And then now you're just standing toe to toe with Drew Dober,
who's got a great chin.
Yeah, he has been hurt against, guys. Frivola, who the hell saw that one coming? I mean, that was wild. Frivola was just slanging him for a while. Yeah, I think you actually picked Frivola in that one. You were one of the few.
Yep.
I like Dober here. Short notice. I mean, Silva was training this, or just fought recently and stuff. But man, give me some Drew Dober on short notice over somebody at elevation who's not ready for it.
Yeah, I'm in a bad position on this one. Again, I just been throwing cash everywhere. I see a line, bet it. What I think I put 1,000 on Gene Silva, but at like good plus money. I think it was like 112 or 120 or something like that. I put $1,000 on him, and I think you're right. I think I'm going to get out of that position because I think about it. Gene Silva's a pressure guy. Dober's got good cardio, man. He can stick around.
Being contested at 155. So Silva's going up a weight class on short notice.
And I don't think that Silva's that big to begin with. He's 5'7". I mean, 5'7" is pretty damn tall, but
it's a new 5'10".
It's pretty damn tall, but for the thing. But I just never thought he was a big featherweight to begin with. And now he's going against Dober, Dober's not tall, but he's thickums. He's bodied up. I think you convinced me. Like Dober's chin has been so good, right? Scientifically, they said it's like one of the best chins ever. He's amazing. He has been getting hurt a little bit more lately, but Silva's kind of like a volume guy, like a volume power, if that makes any sense. Like I'm going to crack you hard 30 really hard times. And like that 30th one, the well's going to break. Dude hits hard. I get it, but hits hard at 45, not at 55. And he's been in there. Dober's been in there with some big hitters. I doubt that Silva's going to wrestle. I think Dober's a lot sharper on the feet, right? Silva's a lot more loopy and kind of just break you down. I think Dober's game. He'll be in there. Yeah, good shout. And Dober's at altitude. He lives and trains here all the time. So I'm with you. I'm going to get out of my Silva position. I should do it live on the podcast just for fun. But yeah, I'm out.
All right. What else? I think, are we co-maining it?
We are co-main.
Damn.
Yeah, we're moving right along. I don't think there aren't very many fights. What, we got 11?
Yeah, and this card has struggled left and right, every which way to put these freaking things together.
All right, co-main, Santiago Ponzinibbio minus 205 versus Muslim Salikhov at plus 170.
Before I watched tape on this, I was just like, oh, this is Ponzinibbio. Like before, that was like, you got to go Ponz, whatever. Then as I'm watching tape, I was like, Ponzinibbio, just volume and skill for skill. They're like, all right, they're both pretty good, whatever. And then cardio. I always think of Muslim as like death gassing. I don't know that he does. And he kind of does, but then he's calm about it. I think what actually hurt him in that Dalby fight was the head kick. I don't know that. I think that head kick hurt him, and I think that messed him up. And then I feel like wrestling tires him out a lot more than striking does. I mean, is Ponzinibbio going to offensively wrestle? No, it's not going to happen. And if he did try to, Muslim would sprawl, and it's not going to happen. So then on a technical level, dude, Ponzinibbio is not great. Like his hands are so wide and everything comes from the hip, and he's getting more hittable. He doesn't mix up his attacks. He's not kicking almost at all. Like he will throw some low kicks, some calf kicks, no middle kicks, no head kicks. So that right there just limits what Salikhov has got to deal with. Salikhov, the thing that he does really well is that dude is always in his stance and he throws. And when people fire back, he has great head movement as he's backing up with his hands up and in position to counter and go. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't like a cardio thing that I thought of with Salikhov and then him being 40, dude, I would say max bet Salikhov, like hit the button. Then he does fade and it is at elevation. So that's a little bit worrisome. But again, I don't think Ponzinibbio is going to wrestle at all. And so that alone, Salikhov has that really good way of like standing there. And if you come in, he's going to fire. But otherwise, he's going to stand there and waste 48 seconds. Like you better do stuff or he'll waste the clock. Ponzinibbio does have good volume and pressure, but not like Dalby. That dude just won't die. Like you said, we're always like, discounting Dalby, and now we're like, all right, we just can't discount him anymore. Like, what do you do?
And now he's going to retire by the time we're ready to start picking him.
And he fought Randy Brown. Randy Brown's Randy Brown. Like, dude, what are you going to do? It's Randy Brown. Man, I kind of like Salikhov here. I think he's a cleaner striker. You really have to hope that he just fades so much. In my book, he's got to fade really hard for Ponzinibbio to win this fight. Salikhov has been at altitude for a while now as well. He's been up there. He's been training with Brundage V Alhassan and that whole group. There's a bunch of them who have been up in Denver training for a month, which training at altitude is one thing, but I think when you're 40 years old and you're just doing the same thing, I think you tend to like get complacent. And we've seen that with 40-year-old Salikhov. But him going to altitude and training with all of these guys, it leads me to believe that he understands the task at hand and he needs to make sure that he's in really good shape. I haven't seen Ponzinibbio up there at altitude. I was looking on his Instagram. I can't tell. Maybe he is. But if Ponz isn't going to grapple him, like, man, I mean, Ponzinibbio is getting hurt a lot lately. And I thought he was losing the Morono fight. Morono took that fight on like 5 days notice and won round 1 until he just.
And round 2 and round 3, he was winning every round.
Yeah, both. Yeah, I was thinking he was knocked out in the second. No, it was the third. And I thought Morono looked horrible, but good considering. And I thought he won that. Man, I like Salikhov for the upset on this one.
Yeah, so I've been back and forth on this all day. I say this every goddamn time that Salikhov fights, but I love Salikhov striking so
fucking good.
Much. Dude, he's so good. I tried to get a lot of stuff from him. I watch him every time. I love watching his film back because it reminds me like, oh shit, these are the feints I need to throw. These are the punches. This is the way I should position my body. He is so technically sound and beautiful. He's just old as hell. That's the issue for me. And again, this fight being in Denver, I get that he's been here for a month. I totally understand. I get it. He's fading hard, even not at elevation. So whether he's been here for 10 years, 10 months, 10 days, sometimes it doesn't matter because he fades like that no matter where it is. Ponzi's not technical at all. He's not. But I actually liked the Kevin Holland fight. Like he was in there with Kevin, just swinging from the hip, swinging and banging and getting crazy in there. I think the only way to play this fight, and this is financial advice. I am a licensed
financial advisor.
Yeah, Adviver. Yeah. I'm at Adviver. You load up on Salikhov pre. You just load up on Salikhov pre. I think that's a great way to do it, is because we know Salikhov striking wise, he's so technical and beautiful, and look at Morono in his last fight getting outboxed by Nico Price, right? Crazy. And that guy was destroying Ponzinibbio. I watched that one live and was about to throw up. Luckily, he got that KO, right? I think you load up on Salikhov pre and you wait till about the 8-minute mark. If he's won 8 minutes convincingly, hold on to your bet. Add more. Feel good about it. If around 6.5, 7 minutes, he starts to kind of slow down a little bit, I think that's when you can start to hone in on Ponzinibbio. Now, we're also discounting the fact that Ponzinibbio wins minutes early, but I'm with you. I think Salikhov is going to win these early minutes. He's just a better striker. He just is. Better movement. He can wrestle sometimes when he needs to. I think he's great for the first 7-8 minutes. And I think that's what he needs to win the fight. So I like Salikhov also, but it's a better pre-bet and then a hedge out live, or if you feel funky and he looks good, hold on to your bet.
All right.
Well, that's it, huh? Because we're not talking about the main event.
Yeah. I mean,
we can give some insights and just I've been out here.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit before we go. You guys remember this episode is brought to you by Fight Chalk, fightchalk.com. They actually just got American books up and American lines, whereas before I think everything was offshore. Now I think everything is US shore, US based. All the pros picks, all the podcasts, all the lines, go to fightchalk.com. And then also Bet MGM. Link is in the show notes. Go get some risk-free bets and, do it up. And now let's talk Tracy Cortez, who you have been up there for a week and a half, going to Colorado, doing all the things. I have trained Tracy since she was an amateur, and I have been in every single one of her, at every single fight of hers from the time she went pro She lost to Sherry Maraski. The funny thing about that, and I've probably even told this on the podcast or something, I know you guys have heard this before, is I remember that fight, and Tracy just went out there just hot. She was just guns blazing, doing, and won the first round completely, pushed her to the cage, beat her up in the clinch, did really well. And then, but Tracy, the girl, was actually trying to do our far side head and arm type of thing. So Tracy was shooting, and the girl knew how to defend it and was doing well, but she wasn't getting off the cage. And I was telling in between the rounds, round 1 and 2, I was like, hey, Tracy, shoot, but don't try and get the takedown. Just push her to the cage, beat her up in the clinch. You're winning there. But do not level change, because that's when she's starting to attack your neck and do stuff. And then her boyfriend at the time, Benny, is sitting there and listening. And as we're going, I give Tracy the last sip of water, last instruction, shoot in, do this, clinch, yada, yada. We walk away. And Benny, midway through like the walk back to our corner, goes, wrestle, Weta, wrestle. And I was like, no, you fucking idiot. No, don't wrestle. Like, don't do that. And then of course she gets guillotined, and that was that. And I'm like, Benny, and he's like, I don't know. I just said to wrestle. I'm like, fuck. So that was my, first fight with her was Sherry Maraski. I remember the first time I did mitts with Tracy, she cried afterwards, and she's like, fuck, I'm sorry. I suck. I'm sorry for wasting your time. And I was like, no, like, I liked what you guys have done mitts with me.
It's a demoralizing experience. We all feel that way to this day.
The first time doing mitts with you at the location, the split location. And I remember like thinking that I knew how to punch. I was 19. I was like, yeah, just another mitt work session. And that same thing, I walked out of there feeling like I know nothing about fighting. I'm the worst striker of all time.
I just am a perfectionist. I want, like, if you're doing some stuff well, I'm like, well, let's do it better. And you guys can probably attest to this, especially now in your careers. And I remember, Gabe, like Brandon, you've always pretty much listened to me in terms of fighting. Like you might have okay, well, I like to do this way, but you've always been a little bit of a thinker, but for the most part, I mean, you do the far side that Tracy does with me. You do a lot of my stuff. Gabe, you haven't. You've fought me along the way.
He's gonna try to deny it. Look at him; he's ready.
Some nutritionists.
Listen, I think I had a lot of habits that I had to break because I'd grown up training. You know what I'm saying? And learning.
The strength and conditioning coaches. I'm like, abort. Some of the nutritionists, I'm like, abort. Some of the trainers, because we all just kind of assume that people in our industry know what they're doing, and we assume you are a trustworthy person. Brandon knows better than to trust people. Like he was raised on the streets.
I was getting free meals for about 2 months though too. That was also
that helps.
That was also a big factor why I stayed with him.
And so we kind of assume that everyone.
That situation. Wow, I remember.
That was bad.
Good times.
And so many people do so many things, and they just 1-2, and that was good enough. And you're like, and I'm over here like, fuck that. That was shit. Like, let's make that good. Or, well, this is how I always jab. It's like, well, it's shit. Nobody just corrected it beforehand. So I'm very, very picky. And she thought she was shit, but she actually did a lot of stuff really well. She naturally moves really well and has actually, like with you, Gabe, she has really good head movement and awareness when just a natural flow of things. So she's supposed to be fighting Miranda Maverick. We get a call. Eddie and I are literally getting off of the plane from Saudi Arabia. I'm still on the plane walking off, and she calls. It's like, hey, they offered this fight. What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. And so me and Eddie, we're always like realists, you know what I mean? We're always caution, and so we're always thinking of all the negative and all the stuff that could go wrong. We're like, well, it's Rose. She's very stylistic. It's not the same as Miranda. You're up at elevation. It's 5 rounds, blah, 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 blah. We love this fight if we can train for it, and if it's not at elevation, and
under the right circumstances.
Yeah, there's just a lot of risk going into this fight. And so we're like, we're not saying we hate it. We're just saying there's a lot of risks. And she said, and I was sitting there in front of Kindle, after, so we talked there momentarily, and then I called her when I got home, after I got through customs and stuff. So I called her, and then, I reiterate all that stuff. And then she says to me, she's like, look, I could go beat Miranda Maverick, and then I'm still just a number in the UFC, and I still have got to go beat all these other girls, and nobody cares. She's like, and you always say to the team, like, we got to take chances. When opportunity arrives, we need to be training and doing the right stuff. to take advantages of those opportunities. She goes, if I beat Rose, a former title, a former champion
Holder. Yeah.
she's like, I'm in line for a title shot. She goes, I don't want to just fight girls to fight and just be a career girl who's just fighting and then I eventually retire. She's like, I want to go be fucking champion and I want to go win a title. She's like, and I don't want to bullshit around and just fucking fight. And I was like, God damn. I said, if I had some guns, I'd shoot them up in the air right now. I'm like, just whatever. You sold me. I'm in. I've got goosebumps. Like, I'm ready to go. And she was just fucking gangster about it and was like, let me go take an opportunity. And she goes, if I fucking lose, who fucking cares? I fought one of the best in the world and I took my shot. She goes, but I want to take my shot. And I was like, man, I salute you.
I love that. And actually, I know she watches the podcast. I mean, who doesn't watch the podcast, you know? But this week, so let me say a couple things. So one, Kamu, I hate dealing with you on fight week because you are such a fucking ultra competitor in everything you do. Fucking board games, drink a soda contest, like whatever it is. You're fucking crazy competitor. You're so like just fucking. And I know you do jokes sometimes, but like for the most part, you're like walking around like the McGregor strut and you're fucking serious, right? Me, I'm complete opposite. I like to joke, keep things really, really light. And then like when it's time, I turn to demon mode. Tracy has been the most positive person I've ever been around leading up to a fight. It's almost like I'm almost like, dude, you know, you're fighting next week. Like you're going to be in front of like everybody, like fucking get real, and not in a bad way. She's just like, no, this is my opportunity. And so I told her that you felt that way. And she was like, she like stopped for a minute and everything's so dramatic. She stopped and she's like, no way. He said that when I told her about you, like wanting to shoot the guns up in the air. She goes, no way. He said that. Oh my God, let's go get it. And she's just like game. We got here to Colorado, or I got here on Monday and we started training and man, she's looked great. Like I really expected because, you know, I had been here a few years ago and I trained at the altitude and I died. I was like getting tapped out by white belts. It was horrible. I expected that from her and she's looked great and she's got a great attitude about everything. And I'm here being her uki. She's just beating the shit out of me. And I'm like, all right, we're going to do 3 5s. And she'll just look at me and go 5 5s. And that's what she does. And she just keeps going. And she's so positive and she wants to do more and more and wants to be out in nature and go running and do this stuff. And so today was really cool. I am actually heading back to Phoenix tomorrow. So this is live. So yeah, tomorrow. And so we did kind of like a fight simulation / me holding mitts for her today. And it was good. We did 5 5s and she just sits down afterwards and she did the Helwani show today. So I'll add a couple of things to that. This is good insight. Hopefully this makes some headlines. No, I'm just kidding. Nothing big, but she just sits down today and she goes, dude, I used to work at Verizon. She goes, I used to work at Verizon and now I'm the main event of a UFC card. I used to work at Verizon and I'd made everything that I ever looked for in my life happen on this for this. And, it was like a surreal moment. It kind of like gave it like me goosebumps. And I'm like, can someone turn off that goddamn phone?
Yeah. Whose phone is that?
I don't know whose phone that is.
but it just got real serious and it was super cool. And so actually earlier in the week, so she did Helwani's show today and I listened to the interview. It's funny. Everyone's just like, she's so dramatic. And I was like, yeah, it's just a Latina woman. That's just how it goes. But I had said, I was like, hey, Tracy, I know last year you fought on Mexican Independence Day. This year it's at the Sphere. I was like, you go win this fight. You should go fight there next. I imagine they'll ask you. And she goes, yeah, actually, like, and she said this on Helwani's show. She's like, listen, I think I should be in line for a title next. You know, if I win against Rose, she's like, I'll fight Alexa. I'll fight anybody. So maybe that's the fight is Alexa at the Sphere. Valentino won't fight Alexa. So go win this Rose fight. And that could be what's next.
Would she really not fight Alexa?
Apparently I don't know if that was like supposed to be out. She said it on Helwani's show today, but she said that Valentina will not fight Alexa at the Sphere. I don't know if she needs a neutral court.
Sphere. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant like in general
in general.
Okay.
So if the UFC is wanting to put Alexa on the card, Tracy wins this one. That's the matchup that goes. Would be super cool.
Man, main event, Tracy Cortez taking on Rose Namajunas. We will be there. That's it, you guys. Happy.
Do we have like 5 minutes just for questions? Just
sure, yeah.
In the comments because it's live. Okay.
Yeah, let's hit up some questions.
So if you guys got in the chat, give us some questions, and if we run out of questions, we'll just jump off. Producer Kamuela, you want to grab one or two for us?
Listen, man, I tried last time and butchered poor Leon Edwards' username.
I'm not. Is using a straw gay? I need to know. Didn't somebody ask? Somebody asked that recently.
No, he's asked on every single thing. I'm like about to block him over it. Yeah, he asked on every questionnaire, DM. Like it's becoming too much. Let's see. Is that Hawaiian McGregor? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
You want to know what's funny is, man, in Kamuela's early days, everybody used to compare him to Conor McGregor. That was wild back then. What do you think is going to be fight of the night?
Silva Dober.
Silva Dober. Yeah. Yep.
Great.
I think Silva Dober. Selfish question. What advice would you give for someone doing their first fight? People ask me this all the time. What I would say to that is make sure that you're at a good gym with good coaches, and they will guide you all the rest of the way. If you are at a gym with good people who have fought and have trained fighters, then you're in good hands. If you're not, go to a gym where there's fighters and they know what they're doing. Train all the jiu-jitsu you want at your local jiu-jitsu gym or kickboxing or this and that. But if they do not have experience with fighting, like you need to be around fighters and coaches who have fought or have coached fighters. They're going to help with your diet, the weight cut, the training, the matchup, everything. So go to a gym where somebody knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, and the other thing that I would add to that too is make yourself uncomfortable in sparring. Spar when there are people watching. If you guys, I don't know what the structure is like at your gym, but if you guys do cage rounds where the whole team watches, go in there and get your cage rounds in. Go cross train. Maybe get some sparring sessions in at another gym in unfamiliar territory. Because when you go out to fight, especially for the first time, it's going to be so foreign. It's going to be so a brand new experience that a lot of people go out there and have major adrenaline dumps because they're so uncomfortable. They almost get in this like panicked mode, or they feel desperate and they start swinging. And then 30 seconds left, or 30 seconds in rather, they're completely gassed. So get out of your comfort zone and do that as often as possible during camp, so that when you're uncomfortable again, you're kind of used to that feeling. And you know how to perform under that kind of pressure and under those nerves.
Nice. Here's another one. So Santino, who is the fighter you trained within your career you knew right off the bat was going to be special? And it's funny, I'm glad that we're doing this podcast. One was Tracy Cortez. This is before Henry Cejudo won the title. So I was with Henry after he lost to Benavidez, and then I was with him from then all the way through his title runs and all of that. Frankie Saenz was there at the time. We had Roman Salazar. We had some people. And I remember the manager at the time when I got in, they said, who do you think is going to be the first champion? And Tracy's like 1-1 or 2-1 at the time, something like that. I mean, she was not like a big name or even had a big record. And the guy said, who do you think is going to be the first UFC champion of our gym? Like, who has the best shot? And I said, Tracy Cortez. And he was like, what? And he was like, you don't think it's Frankie or Henry? And I was wrong. I mean, Henry won the belt and did it. And I was 100% wrong. But even back then, I had that much faith in her that I was like, yeah, Tracy Cortez is going to be something special. She's going to go do it. And then the other person is our dear producer here. I mean, I have probably ad nauseum, and people don't like to hear it, but, and you guys haven't seen it. Gabe, you know this. You fight like shit.
You really do, like, no. As
we
a
don't have to run
friend,
a stick in the dirt, Brandon. You're always going to do that. You don't have to.
But you're great, man. You're amazing.
But I've said this. You're the best guy I've ever trained by far, times 1,000. Like you're the only person even today. Like you guys know I don't spar anymore. I did up until a few years ago. But even when I used to spar, I would probably get the better of most rounds just striking against everyone. I would out cage wrestle everybody. I would out jiu-jitsu everyone. And then Gabe, you would beat me up standing, you would take me down, and then you would submit me, and I'd be like, okay, very well then. By far, Tracy Cortez and Kamuela are just two people who I just knew right off the bat there was going to be something special right there.
We got one more question, two more questions.
So, all right. So here's somebody actually asked me about a Drew Fickett Abu Dhabi story. Man, and somebody was like, because
Hey, hold on. We're going to have to end on this one.
Okay. So I guess
this has got to be a finale.
There's 100 Drew Fickett Abu Dhabi stories, but one is him getting into a leg kick battle with Sanjay Ribeiro. So there was Drew's getting into it with all the Brazilians. And first of all, actually, let me start with this is before the night got wild, when we're still at the event. I've told this one before. So I'm walking to the bathroom, and Drew, I guess, had gone to the bathroom or whatever, food or whatever. I don't even remember if I was getting food or going to the bathroom, but we're up in the stands. And then I'm walking. I see Fickett about 50 feet in front of me. And he was far enough away where I was like, all right, I'm not going to catch up, or, hey, Drew, something like that. I was just like, all right, he's walking. So he's walking. He's kind of stumbling around. There's been a lot of drinking going on at this point. It's probably 11 a.m. And I see him look in the garbage. And I can't really see what's going on, but he looks in the garbage. And then I see him pull out like a sausage sandwich. Like somebody had eaten half a sausage sandwich. And then he starts picking off some stuff. And then he just walks on and just starts eating the sausage sandwich like it was not just in the garbage. And so that's how the day started. Let me tell you how the day ended. Drew, I don't know what was going on, but all the Brazilians were mad at Drew. Drew's talking shit to everybody. And so at one point, like, Drew is getting into it with just everybody. And he's getting into it with Sanjay Ribeiro, and we're in the lobby. And then all of a sudden, it's like broken up and whatever. So like 20 minutes later, we go up the elevator. And we get up the elevator, and it's like 5th floor. And we walk out, and there's Sanjay and his crew. And Sanjay's like, hey, look, you want to go? And Drew goes, yep. And they literally just were like, looked at each other like they knew what time it was. Fucking guns were in their holsters. They're taking steps back, and they were going to draw. And they just squared up, and they were fucking ready to fight. And it was about to go down, and it was going to be marvelous. And Sanjay just fucking leg kicks Drew. Just the hardest leg kick you've ever seen. Drew doesn't check it. Drew doesn't anything. He just eats a fucking leg kick. And he goes, oh, fuck, that hurt. I'm out, bro. Fuck, dude. Like, that really fucking hurt. And Sanjay's like, bro, like talking shit. And bro, Drew's like, dude, like, we're done here. Like, that fucking hurt. Did you see how hard he fucking leg kicked me? Like, Jesus, that fucking hurt. And that was the fight. So then we go back downstairs, and we're in the lobby, and Yaya walks up to Drew. And Yaya's like 3 feet tall. And Drew's just sitting there, just fucking like almost like blackout drunk at this point. And Yaya just walks up and just slaps him right in the face. And Drew just looks up, and he's like, why'd you slap me? Like, because he didn't have any beef with Yaya. Like, his beef was with other people. And Yaya's like, fuck you, and slaps him again. And he's like, Tino, why is this guy slapping me? Like, you hit like a bitch, bro. And then he started like talking shit. And so Drew's like, oh, all right. And he like is like, all right, I fucking do this. And he stands up. And then of course, like, cops are called. Everything's broken up. We got kicked out of our hotel in Newark, New Jersey at 3 a.m. and had to find our way out of Newark, New Jersey without dying. And then we do. I mean, we're like calling cabs. Then Drew's leg is all fucked up because of Sanjay Ribeiro. So I have to carry the heaviest bag. He has like 6 dead bodies in here. And we have to drag it to a fucking train station because we can't get a cab anywhere. We sit at the train station for like 2 hours, and there's no train. We're just like, well, we're going to get shot here. We finally end up getting to the airport. We have to sleep in the airport like lobby for like 8 hours because our flight doesn't leave till way later in the day. And that there is a Drew Fickett Abu Dhabi story.
Oh my God. Can we make tradition on every live episode just to end on a question and answer and then a Drew Fickett story?
Well, I told you guys on the UFC show, we were bored. So I would tell, I told the Drew Fickett story, a couple of them at a time. And then literally every day they would come to me and go, Santino, can we have a Fickett story? And I would tell one Fickett story a day because I want to make sure I didn't run out. And it was like story time. And I got through like probably 20, 25 days until I was finally like, yeah, I think I'm out of Drew Fickett stories. I think I've told you all of them. So,
Coach,
anyway,
I remember
guys.
real quick. I remember you tell me Drew Fickett stories all the time, right? in our early days of training. And then I remember we went to Parker, and while we were out in Parker, you were up in the hotel room, and I didn't know Fickett. I'd never met him. I didn't know what he looked like. And you were up in the hotel room, and I was like, I'm going to go down to the pool or whatever. Like, all right, cool. So I go down to the pool, and I'm in the hot tub, and there's this dude, and he just starts talking to me. And do you remember me telling you this? I went back.
I remember.
Coach, it was crazy. I was talking to this guy. I was like, the weirdest thing happened. All of a sudden, he just started stretching, and he grabbed his foot and lifted it like above his head. Mid-conversation, not breaking
Balls
eye
pointed
contact.
right at your face like they
Just
weren't.
lifts his leg up and just holds it up like doing the splits, but like he's sitting down, holding his leg up here next to his face and talking to me and not breaking character, nothing. Like it was the weirdest thing. And I'm talking to him. I'm like, dude, this guy's he's out there, man. I go back and I tell you, I'm like, I met this dude in the hot tub and he was stretching out his leg and it was weird. You're like, that's crazy. It's probably Drew Fickett. Later on that night, we're in the casino and we see a dude getting escorted out, not wearing a shirt. He's getting escorted out by security and he's yelling and causing a scene. I'm like, that was the dude in the hot tub. And you're like, yup, that's Drew Fickett. And dude, and when you hear Drew Fickett stories, you think that like they're being exaggerated, you know, like they can't, all the details can't actually be real. But then after actually meeting him, seeing him get kicked out without his shirt on, I was like, shoot, dude, every Fickett story that Santino has told me is probably real. This guy's nuts.
Honestly, I can't even give all the details into them because they're just that good.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Anyways.
Next time I'll tell you about the time we were in Mexico and security at the condo knocked on the door and they're like broken English, your friend is outside. I'm like, no, dude, we're all in. It's like 5 a.m. We're all fucking hungover. Your friend outside. And we're like, no, we're all inside. Pedro, like, let us go back to bed. And they're like, bro, your friend is down like at the seashore, like on the beach, naked. And we're like, no, no, we're all shit. So we go outside.
Wait, save it. You said you're going to save it.
No, this is just the tip of the iceberg. And sure enough, there's a naked man lying on the beach and the waves are starting to come up and hit him in the foot. Oh, till next time, folks. Tune
in next time. You get another Fickett story. Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining live. Thank you, fellows, for staying up late with me. Let's go win some fights and some bets.
Yeah, and I'm going to go invest in a better light right now and some plastic surgery.